Hey guys, Zomfox here, and today it's time to look at the Week 9 review for the 2025 UFL season. Now, if you didn't see the community post yesterday and you're wondering why this video is coming out today and not Tuesday like normal, it's because of Memorial Day, right? Memorial Day basically pushes everything back, mainly the TV ratings, so also expect the Player of the Week short to be pushed back till tomorrow on Thursday. Just an FYI, we did get the TV ratings, though we didn't get all of them, which we'll get to that later, so let's just get right into it with the first game being the Battlehawks Brahms of Friday Night Football. This is a rough one in a sense that it was just a total annihilation. Like, we saw why Kellen Mond is not a legit QB at this level and why he flamed out so quick in the NFL, right? He looked kind of okay at the beginning of the game, but then after the second quarter, man, he just fell off a cliff and did almost nothing the entire game. Duggan actually played really solid in the half that he played, and then Brandon Silvers came in for the first time in like 2 years and actually played really solid as well. Jacob Taylor's wasn't incredible on the ground, but again, only got 6 carries, so it's hard to judge. There's really not much to say about this game. This was just another belt-to-ass kind of game for the Battlehawks Brahmas, right? 39-13. This is like the highest amount of points scored this season by any team, I believe. So, congrats to the Battlehawks. They put up almost twice as many yards as the Brahmas in this game. Despite having the same time possession, it was rough, right? The Brahmas went 0 for 3 on fourth down, and so the 2 turnovers didn't really matter by either team, just because they turned over on downs 3 times, and the Battlehawks just, again, they just destroyed them. This wasn't even a game. This was just an utter annihilation. Really shows just how much the Brahmas have fallen off since last year versus how well the Battlehawks have been this season. So, congrats to the Battlehawks for this win. Now, the second game was the Panthers Stallions. Wasn't supposed to be technically, but issues with TV, which we'll get to in a second. Panthers Stallions. This game was a really good one. In the end, Birmingham did win. Now, this was Danny Etling versus J.Mar Smith. There was a lot of talk about would we see other quarterbacks play? No. We saw Etling versus Smith the whole game. And in all honesty, I was shocked at how many starters really played for these teams, right? We didn't see Ricky Person play. We did see C.J. Marable play, and we did see both Nate McCreary and Toa Tawa play for the Panthers. Was kind of shocked at that. Overall, it was almost an exactly just even game, right? Both teams weren't perfect in the red zone, though Birmingham was better, and that's why they did end up winning. They went 4 of 5 versus 2 of 4 for Michigan, right? Birmingham was also almost perfect on third downs versus Michigan, which weren't, though Michigan did get 2 fourth down conversions, which helped them out. They turned the ball over on downs, and Birmingham just straight up turned it over once. Very, very even game. In the end, Birmingham won. Now, how much healthier are these two teams going to be in the playoffs? Are we going to see certain guys return, right? Javin White just got put off IR. Will he be back in time for the playoffs? Will we finally see Matt Colburn play? Bryce Perkins? A lot of questions for Michigan, which we'll see. Overall, though, this was a really solid game. Definitely a good one. Michigan, Birmingham, great game. Now, the Renegades Showboats, this game got pushed back by about like 3 hours. For those of you who don't know what happened, essentially there was a ton of bad weather in Memphis, and it pushed the game back 3 hours. Which you get to that in TV ratings, but as for the game itself, again, another game that was just a inconsequential game, didn't even need to watch. Renegades just crapped on the Showboats. 30-12 was the final score. They, again, almost had twice as many yards as the Showboats, just like the Battlehawks almost did to the Brahmas. Third down percentage, one team was 50%, one team was 25%. Take a guess which team lost. The same team that went 0 of 2 on fourth down versus the team that went 1 of 1. Right, Showboats, they went from that great week last week where they got multiple turnovers to turning it over twice and not getting a single takeaway. Again, not much to say in this game. It's a game that has absolutely no real meaning. The Renegades just absolutely dominated the Showboats. So I wouldn't even say big win for the Renegades. This is, again, the Renegades winning a game that doesn't matter. Too little, too late. If this Renegades team showed up like at any other point in the season, maybe they're in the playoff race. Instead, they're eliminated. So that's the Renegades Showboats. Then last is the Defenders Roughnecks. Really solid game that I wasn't too shocked at what happened. Now, important to note, starter-wise, DC basically played all their starters aside from Teamu in the second half. So people acting like the Houston Roughnecks wouldn't have beaten DC are kind of forgetting that a lot of the points that DC did score was with Mike DeLillo at quarterback and with basically the starters in. No, it wasn't a safety. You see that 2 points. That was a pick 2 on an extra point attempt. Houston won this game. I wasn't shocked. As I mentioned, heading into this game, the matchup for DC was really bad. This is an area where the Roughnecks are a worse team, but if these two teams played 10 times, Houston would probably win 7 of them. This is just a really bad matchup for DC. A fully healthy DC versus a fully healthy Houston. Houston's defense, where they're strong at, is the exact area DC uses to exploit, and that's the back end of the defense. So Houston was able to kind of stop them in that sense a bit. Yes, they still put up a ton of yards, but they couldn't score nearly as much as they had before. This is a DC team that had been putting up 30 points relatively consistently. They only got 21, and again, a lot of those points were at the very end of the game, including a touchdown at the very end of the game. So in all honesty, Houston could have won this by even more if they didn't do a terrible play call where they decided to do a quarterback run in field goal range. If he either A, scores a touchdown, or B, they kick a field goal, this game's legit a blowout in a final score sense. So Houston, they did win, and this was not a super shocking game. DC had 2 turnovers. Houston with McClendon, not really turning it over as much. They did have the 1 fumble, the end zone. I don't know why it doesn't count that for them. But overall, though, wasn't shocked by the outcome of this one. DC just couldn't get it done. Bad matchup for them. Ground game, still not good. So we'll see what happens. Now, as for attendance, this was honestly another mixed week of attendance. Now, yes, I know when you see the 27,890 for the Battlehawks, you might think it's a bad number. In all honesty, that's the second best number of attendance the entire season for any team. As mentioned before, the way to judge attendance is what the expectation is of said team and market and view what did they actually get. The best number in the season was the 11-6 for Michigan. Nobody expected them to break that 11,000 mark in week 3, let alone break it by over 600. Now, the second most impressive number, and you could argue, is this 27,890. It's important to note that this game was the extra home game the Battlehawks got due to the Brahmas losing theirs. This game was not included in season ticket packages, meaning they did not get the benefit of season ticket holder ticket numbers. So this game should have been their lowest attended game, even when you consider the Week 6 game was head-to-head with the Blues and Cardinals home game. Well, the Blues game being a playoff game. So insanely impressive number, absolutely wild number. Yes, it does technically drag their average in the season down to under 30K for the regular season. Yes, that's not what you want to see. But again, this number being that good despite not having the season ticket benefit is huge for them. So massive props to St. Louis. Now the Birmingham game, they went back to 10K. Big number to see again this game. While yes, technically still alive in the 1 seed race, both teams, we already know the home games in Birmingham, so for all intents and purposes, this game really didn't matter. Yet they were able to break 10K for the second time this season. Really solid to see that. Houston, it's a mixed bag. On one hand, you got to give them props for rebounding from their last 2 god-awful 4K games. At the same token, this is still a pathetic number to be at. This is still less than their average last year when they were in Rice Stadium. So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, on one hand, it's great. This is their second best number in the season. On the other hand, it's still under 7K, and even 7K itself is a disappointing number for Houston. Then Memphis. Yikes. I mean, I get it. There was the 3-hour delay. I fully get that. There's no excuse for a 2,000 number. This game legitimately had less people at it than certain hub games in the USFL. Like, those Maulers games in Canton probably had more than the Showboats did this game. And hell, I wouldn't be shocked if their tickets distributed number that wasn't officially revealed was better than any Memphis game this season. I'll talk about it more in the offseason. Like, this is probably one of my first offseason videos. It's going to be about Memphis and Houston. Memphis. Yikes. You're under 4K in your attendance for this season. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do in this next game. It's their final home game. If they can't make it to where their average attendance is over 4K on the season, wow. That's, like, actually impressive for all the wrong reasons. So again, for attendance, Memphis, horde, no excuse. I don't care, 3-hour delay, that's an inexcusable number. Houston, hard to really judge it. On one hand, it's really solid, they bounced back. On the other hand, it's still a massively disappointing number for that area. Birmingham, shocked they hit over 10K. I was fully expecting another 9K game. Massive bounce back from that 7, or from that 11 a.m. Mother's Day game where they had less than 5K. Props to Birmingham and St. Louis, man. Absolutely impressive number. Got to give a ton of credit to St. Louis. That's a beautiful number you love to see. Now, the TV ratings. Important to note that I tried to find out what the rerun got, because for those of you who don't know, during that initial time slot that was supposed to be for the Renegade Showboats, they ended up playing a rerun of the Defenders game. At least the time recording this video, I couldn't find it. If I find out info on it, when this video posts, or like before post, I'll put a pinned comment down below, because that'd be very interesting to know. So the Renegades game ended up being on ESPN3, ESPN News, ESPN Plus. Bottom line is they're not tracking that one. So we don't know the actual TV rating for that game, though obviously it's insanely low. Now, as for the other games, you had two really solid numbers and then the Friday night game. Once again, we're seeing Friday Night Football hover around that 500 to 600K mark, this time at 540. We kind of know what it is now. We know Friday Night Football at this point is basically your 500 to 600, 700,000-ish number per week. Not as good as I was expecting and hoping it would end up being, but I know, again, like we talked about early in the season, Larson expected it to be a certain number, which honestly was a bit better than what he thought, and this is kind of what he expected it to be. So, do with that what you will. Birmingham, Michigan. Again, another game that was this close away from averaging a million on ABC. Talked about it before. ABC is the strongest network on the UFL. Even though it's not the best presentation with how wonky some of the camera angles are and the constant betting talk, it is the best network. Massive props. Another game that's going to average on to a million. Now, DC Houston. Massive asterisk in a sense that this was a lead-in. The Indy 500 averaged like 7 million viewers, and that led into this game. Now, it still did average 1.348 million, which is, again, the first true milli we've seen all season, and more importantly, is the best game of the season. Had a peak of 2.6 million viewers at the beginning of the game, obviously. This is a game that could end up helping in the long run, or by long run, I mean the next, 3 weeks, because you'll have new people who are watching the Indy 500 who saw the UFL for the first time, might stick around. Again, this was a very close game. This was a solid game to get. It's not like they got stuck watching St. Louis, San Antonio, or Arlington, Memphis. They got the second best game of the week. Some would argue the best. I would say the second best game of the week. You still got a really solid game, so hopefully that helps out in the next couple weeks. Again, we have one more regular season week, then the playoffs, and then the championship. So we'll see how it does, but overall with the TV ratings, it was a solid week, right? You can't judge a game that you didn't know. So overall, 2 of the 3 numbers were very solid. So it's the first time in a while we've seen some actual solid TV ratings. So that's that. Again, this has been Zom Fox. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified as I upload any videos. Again, we're nearing the end of the season, but next week, obviously after Week 10 action, I will have my playoff predictions video come out, as well as all the weekly videos. Again, expect the Player of the Week short to come out tomorrow on Thursday instead of today, Wednesday, because of the Memorial Day break. Again, if I find out what numbers the rerun did, I'll put it in the comments and my thoughts about it down there as well. If not, didn't come out, couldn't find it, blah, blah, blah. Again, if you enjoy this, make sure you like this video as well. Think about becoming a community member for 99 cents a month. You get an exclusive monthly video that's not about the UFL, but is a sports-related video. This past one for May ended up being the top 10 NBA players of all time, my list. You get other benefits like team emojis. Be on the lookout for the streams we're doing this week. I believe I've had everything fixed regarding those. And as always, guys, have a great night.